Hello, everyone, and welcome to IoT Marketing Live. I'm Tiffani Neilson, and with me is Johannes Beekman, the CEO and founder of IoT Marketing. How are you doing today, Johannes?
I'm doing great, Tiffany. How are you?
I'm fantastic. And we just concluded our Green Things Summit and would like to again thank all of the incredible speakers who shared their valuable insights on sustainability, green energy, ESG, global megatrends, and so much more. Is there anything you'd like to say about the event, Johannes?
No, it was a great event, and I really enjoyed all the speakers and appreciate all their input and their insights on what's happening in sustainability space. And it was a fantastic event, Tiffany.
Thanks, Johannes. And we'll be sharing a link for you to watch the entire Green Things Summit on demand at the end of the broadcast. But for now, let's get started with our first story. A breakthrough has been announced using a tiny terahertz receiver to preserve IoT battery life. Researchers from MIT and elsewhere have built a wake-up receiver that communicates using terahertz waves, which enabled them to produce a chip more than 10 times smaller than similar devices. The receiver also includes authentication to protect it from certain types of attacks, which could help preserve the battery life of tiny sensors and robots. In an attempt to make nearly any object traceable, scientists are striving to develop even smaller Internet of Things devices, like sensors tinier than a fingertip. According to SciTech Daily, these diminutive sensors have minuscule batteries, which are often nearly impossible to replace. So engineers incorporate wake-up receivers that keep devices in low-power sleep mode when not in use, preserving their battery life. And I look forward to learning more about this technology. But Johannes, what are your thoughts on these tiny new terahertz receivers?
Very, very interesting, Tiffany. I dug a little bit deeper into the original source of this story, and it's Yeoncheok Lee's thesis for his MSc degree from MIT. It's a very interesting thesis. Quoting from the introduction paragraph, IoT devices are becoming smaller and smaller, and we know that. And billions of devices are estimated to be connected in the 2020s and 2030s, and we know that too. Now, researchers are developing small-scale, massively deployable wireless nodes for various applications that can work together to collect information and build large networks. These miniaturized wireless nodes require various functionalities, including communication, sensing, actuation, and energy harvesting. So there's a growing need to develop square millimeter size wake-up receivers to prolong the battery life of these tiny devices. And the millimeter wave or terahertz spectrum is a very promising candidate for millimeter scale wake-up receiver designs, as it is compatible with on-chip antennas, meaning that you can build a chip to drive the receiver and have the antenna on board, which makes it even smaller. Now, a few comments. We talked about Amazon Sidewalk in last month's IoT Marketing Live, and that's one example of such a mesh network consisting of small wireless nodes. Now, the device that was described in the thesis consumes only 2.8 microwatts of power, which can even be reduced to 750 nanowatts, so even less. And now add energy harvesting, and we're entering the realm of zero energy IoT, meaning IoT devices that can last forever. So these near immortal devices don't need a battery change. You can just put them out in the field and they last as long as you need them. Several studies have used millimeter wave terahertz systems to develop miniaturized IoT devices or wireless tags with on-chip antenna integration. So expect to see more of these terahertz IoT devices in the billions.
Thanks, Johannes. And more news on greening the IoT as Newcastle University researchers have developed environmentally friendly, high efficiency photovoltaic cells with a power conversion efficiency of 38%, designed to power the Internet of Things devices using ambient light. And based on smart and adaptive operation, the energy consumption of sensor devices is reduced and battery waste is avoided. The dye-sensitized cells based on a copper electrolyte are non-toxic and sustainable, with potential to transform the way IoT devices are powered and promote sustainable development in industries such as healthcare and manufacturing. Johannes, what are your thoughts on these new green IoT solar cells?
Well, reading the story, Tiffany, at first glance, this is a great example of an energy harvesting technique, and in that sense, it aligns quite well with the MIT thesis that we discussed earlier. But the Newcastle University rather, added an LSTM neural network, which is a deep learning technique. And the article in Chemical Science is called Sustainable Energy Management of Self-Powered and Self-Aware IoT. Now, all that tells me that they are really trying to create an autonomous network of IoT devices. So all in all, it's great work, great research, and yes, the solar cells have a great conversion rate, but the whole package is very interesting, and I'm sure we'll see more of that in the future.
Thanks, Johannes. And as we look at green approaches to lighting, Italian brand Contardi Lighting recently collaborated with designer Adam Tiffani to tackle the question of what is green lighting? Design Milk shared from this exploration of design and ecological values. They designed Air, a new suspension lamp that is decorative as it is functional, and even better, it's 100% recyclable. From production to packaging, all considerations were made to reduce Air's impact on the planet. The body of the light is made from green cast, an acrylic material that not only recycles industrial waste and end-of-life products, but can be recycled 100% rather than tossed into a landfill. And I love to see such an emphasis on green approaches for manufacturing. Johannes, what are your thoughts on this green lighting concept?
Italian design, Tiffany, Cosi Bello. It's really beautiful. And I like the quote from the article that you show above. From production to packaging, all considerations were made to reduce air's impact on the environment. And this shows that you can still create a beautiful object using recycled material while at the same time minimizing the impact of the production process on the environment. It requires a deeper understanding of the impact of each production step on the environment, but the end result absolutely justifies the effort.
Thanks, Johannes. And next, we have news about wireless energy as DARPA plans to create a wireless energy transfer infrastructure to supply near interruptible power to the U.S. military bases around the world. The plan, as reported by Popular Mechanics, is to use laser technology to beam electricity around the planet. Famously, a dream of Nikola Tesla over 100 years ago. If successful, this technology, called fittingly enough, power, persistent optical wireless energy relay, would make the U.S. military less reliant on liquid fuel like diesel and vulnerable power lines, which can be intercepted and sabotaged by enemy forces. As with all of its projects, once DARPA has demonstrated the power project's viability in theory, it will turn to other government organizations for actual implementation. Additionally, there are clear uses for power in the commercial sphere, such as supplying energy to far-flung communities, research facilities, and other challenging locations. Additionally, the energy could come from renewable resources, making it both environmentally friendly and widely available. This could be monumental if successful, but what are your thoughts on DARPA's efforts for wireless energy transfer, Johannes?
Well, to be honest, T-Bone Pickens must be turning over in his grave by now, Tiffany. He wanted to build massive wind farms in the middle of the country, and that was about 20 years ago, using high voltage transmission lines to transport electricity to the urban areas, East Coast, West Coast, Great Lakes, Texas. And one of the reasons why his project failed was because of the cost of building all those transmission lines, which is currently, definitely at current day's price, astronomical. If we would have had this wireless energy transfer infrastructure 15 years ago, his project might very well have had a chance. And to give you a second example, For decades now, we've been talking about building solar farms in space and beaming the collected energy back to Earth, but we haven't figured out a safe way to transmit the energy back to the planet. So this, again, would be a prime use case for this wireless energy transfer infrastructure. And another use case would be, and you mentioned that already, to provide power to military bases worldwide, and to provide power to areas devastated by a hurricane, tornado, or other natural disaster. So yes, this is a DARPA project. This is why we have DARPA. And this one absolutely has legs looking at the just a few use cases that we mentioned.
Thanks, Johannes. And Bosch is betting big on industrial tech as sustainability gets trendy. According to RCR Wireless, Bosch has said it wants to increase sales of industrial technology by around 40% over the next 5 years to top 10 billion euros by 2028. It said rising interest in environmental sustainability will drive revenues, with sales of so-called green tech solutions reaching more than $1 billion in 2022. The firm, among the throng of industrial vendors at Hannover Messe this week, said it expects to post double-digit annual growth for Industry 4.0 and factory automation solutions. The two disciplines, both under the industrial tech banner, are grouped separately as strategic business units. Within Bosch, they will drive ecological transformation of all sectors of the economy, it said. It may be notable or not, but Bosch has made no formal mention of industrial 5G, nor specifically of AI, IoT, or AIoT at this year's Hannover Messe. But it has put a major focus on 5G on previous years and remains an influential presence with industrial cellular lobbying groups. Do you feel this is a wise decision for Bosch, Johannes?
Well, I searched up their annual revenue for 2022, and Bosch is a huge conglomerate, Tiffany. They are much bigger than I remember them from the past. So looking at the 2020 annual report, all of their business sectors were showing a healthy growth, and I mean really healthy growth, and a healthy margin. Two-thirds of the revenue in 2022 came from the mobility solution sector, so that's really the revenue driver. And the industrial technology sector's contribution to the revenue was less than 10%. So they want to grow that to 10, 12%. And can they do that? Yes, because Bosch is testing 5G in its own factories, and Bosch has several AI centers worldwide. And this is how they operate, and how they've always operated. Bosch tests technology in its own factories before bringing it to the market, to their customers. And Bosch has been working with Nokia and Ericsson to deploy 5G in its factories since 2020. We'll hear more about Bosch 5G and AI solutions at the 2024 Hannover Messe.
Thanks, Johannes. And our next story continues with the green and sustainable theme as LinkedIn calls for green upskilling as the demand for sustainability roles grows. According to Green Biz, the global green skills crunch has worsened in recent years, according to new data from LinkedIn that suggests demand for executives with sustainability skills is continuing to outstrip supply. The executive networking platform LinkedIn recently published its latest Green Skills Report, confirming that sustainability professionals worldwide are more in demand than ever before. The report was based on recruitment data from the tech giant's global platform. It found the share of jobs requiring green skills has risen from 9.6% in 2015 to 13.3% in 2021. As hiring rates for green jobs has continued to accelerate alongside the adoption of corporate net zero strategies and rapid growth across clean tech sectors. The steady growth rate across the sustainability sector is especially notable against the backdrop of global economic slowdown and market uncertainty, which has seen overall hiring rates slow, according to LinkedIn. However, while the number of job postings requiring at least one green skill has climbed 8% worldwide since 2015, The talent pool to meet those requirements only grew by 6%. The report concludes that while there's been a 40% growth in green skills since 2015, the progress is simply not fast enough, with only 13% of the workforce possessing the skills needed to support a meaningful green transition. We've spoken a lot in our webinars about the digital divide, so I'm really not surprised by this trend, but what are your thoughts, Johannes?
Well, Tiffany, green jobs, certainly right now, green jobs are booming. But as you mentioned, there's a big skills gap, which is actually the normal trend. So we've heard that before, not just from green jobs, but basically for all the jobs that require new skills. So to increase the supply of labor in the emerging green economy, we'll need training, education, and recruiting initiatives to be developed and expanded to ensure that workers of all backgrounds have the opportunity to build the skills they need to pursue and succeed in these jobs.
Thanks, Johannes. And sustainability roles are not the only skill in demand. As ZDNet reports, ChatGPT is the most sought out tech skill in the workforce, says learning platform Udemy. In the past, Microsoft Office was the best skill to list on a job resume, but a new study shows that job applicants may want to add ChatGPT instead. Udemy, an online learning platform, compiled a global workplace learning index, in which the company analyzes its course consumption to see what skills businesses are most interested in. The index showed that the top global tech skill for businesses in the first quarter of 2023 was ChatGPT, which experienced a 4,419% increase in global topic consumption from the fourth quarter of 2022. Diego Davila, Udemy instructor, and entrepreneur and social media innovator, shared that having a comprehensive understanding of ChatGPT and other emerging AI technologies will be imperative to quickly pivot in today's era of rapid digital transformation. I am sure you will agree with this study, Johannes, as you're such a big fan of ChatGPT. So what are your thoughts on the need for ChatGPT related skills?
I am, Tiffany. I really like ChatGPT. And yes, ChatGPT is the 800-pound gorilla in the room. But as my connections in LinkedIn keep reminding me, there are hundreds of AIs that may not be as powerful as ChatGPT that are focused on different applications, but that are just as useful as an assistant to execute a very particular task. Now, using ChatGPT as an example, and this is the reason why it has become so popular so fast, ChatGPT really can do a lot, and its grammar and grammar checking skills are phenomenal. So you can use it to check your grammar, rephrase a paragraph that you just wrote, make the paragraph more succinct, elaborate on the paragraph that you just wrote. You can tell it to rewrite a paragraph in the style of Shakespeare or any other writer that you prefer. And you can tell it to create an outline, write an essay about a particular topic, etc., etc. You can use the version of ChatGPT that's built into Bing, or you can use the OpenAI version. They respond slightly different. The ChatGPT into Bing, for example, can search the internet, while the OpenAI version cannot. Currently, what's happening with ChatGPT is that plugins are being developed. And to give one example, you can connect ChatGPT with Wolfram Alpha. So if you do a query, you can pull data from the Wolfram Alpha database that has been around and has been expanded since 2009. Of course, you always need to check the paragraph or essay to make sure that it's correct and that it reflects how you want to present your information. And I'm literally just scratching the surface of ChatGPT to develop a better understanding of ChatGPT and other emerging AI technologies. I seriously suggest to sign up for one of the various online courses that have been developed and have been popping up over the past couple of months.
Thanks, Johannes. And another story about AI was recently released as Samsung banned the use of generative AI tools after an internal data leak. TechCrunch reported a month after internal sensitive data from Samsung was accidentally leaked to ChatGPT, Samsung is cracking down on the usage of the generative AI service. The electronics giant is planning to temporarily block the use of generative AI tools on company-owned devices covering computers, tablets, and phones, as well as non-company-owned devices running on internal networks. The ban will not just cover ChatGPT, but other services that use the technology like Microsoft's Bing, as well as competing generative AI services like Bard from Google. What are your thoughts on Samsung banning the use of generative AI tools, Johannes?
Well, this is a data privacy issue or a data management issue. It's well known that the ChatGPT database is not perfect and it's not up to date, but you can improve the database to meet your particular need by feeding it or training it on data or your content. For example, we can integrate ChatGPT as a chatbot on our website, feed it with all the content of the website, and it will answer any question using the content from our site. But once you do that and our content then becomes part of the ChatGPT database. And that's the issue that we're running into here, Tiffani. And even in our case, we need to be able to compartmentalize content in ChatGPT. For example, if a bank wants to use ChatGPT to quickly create financial reports, and frankly, ChatGPT is the perfect tool to do that, but then the content and the analysis need to stay on premise, meaning we need to create and need to be able to create walled gardens within the ChatGPT database with strict access control, just like we control any data access in the cloud. Now, coming back to Samsung, this is what happened at Samsung, and this is most likely the solution that they are developing. Samsung did mention that they are temporarily restricting the use of generative AI through company devices.
Thanks, Johannes. And there is undoubtedly a growing buzz around the topic of AI, as the man widely seen as the godfather of artificial intelligence has quit his job, warning about the growing dangers from developments in the field. Geoffrey Hinton, 75, announced his resignation from Google in a statement to the New York Times, saying he is now regretting his work. He told the BBC some of the dangers of AI chatbots were quite scary. And he also shared right now they are not more intelligent than us, as far as he can tell, but he thinks that they soon may be. And in March, an open letter co-signed by dozens of people in the AI field, including the tech billionaire Elon Musk, called for a pause on all developments more advanced than the current version of AI chatbot ChatGPT, so robust safety measures could be designed and implemented. Yoshua Bengio, another so-called godfather of AI, alongside Dr. Hinton, and Jan LeCun, won the 2018 Turing Award for their work on deep learning. Also signed the letter noting that it was because of the unexpected acceleration in AI systems that we need to take a step back. However, Dr. Hinton told the BBC that in the shorter term, he thought AI would deliver more benefits than risks. So he doesn't think that we should stop developing AI. He also said that due to international competition, a pause would be difficult because even if the pause was initiated, it doesn't mean that all countries would follow suit. Dr. Hinton additionally noted that he was an expert on the science, not the policy, and that it was the responsibility of the government to ensure AI was developed with a lot of thought into how we could stop it from going rogue. It is important to remember that AI chatbots are just one aspect of artificial intelligence, even if they are the most popular right now. And the BBC highlighted that what we are seeing now is the rise of AGI, artificial general intelligence. The big takeaway here is that the pace of AI acceleration has surprised even its creators. And I know you're quite fond of AI, Johannes, but what are your thoughts on this story?
I love it that you found this story, Tiffany, because it's a great story. And just looking at the history of AI, and I don't want to go all the way back to antiquity, but usually we say that AI's history starts with Alan Turing's paper from 1950, Computing Machinery and Intelligence. So to put that in context, Tiffany, we've been developing AI technology for over 70 years now. And apart from Turing, you'll find the names of prominent researchers like John von Neumann, John McCarthy, Marvin Minsky, Claude Shannon, Jeffrey Hinton, Andrew Ng, and Demi Hassabis, just to name of a few of the luminaries. So for decades and decades and decades, progress in AI was very slow, which shows you how complex this technology is and how much also computing power it needs. But despite all setbacks, researchers kept going, developing new models, new concepts, and the recent history of AI, and that's the past 15 years, has been marked by significant advancements in machine learning, natural language processing, and deep learning. Starting with IBM Watson's, which was a question answering AI system from 2010. After that, we got AlexNet, a deep convolutional neural network. Then, of course, 2014, Google's neural machine translation, AlphaGo's DeepMind, and of course, ChatGPT. Now, ChatGPT is the tip of the iceberg. And looking back, it was never a question of if, but when we would see a real AI breakthrough, as we're seeing right now, which, of course, is always called a killer application, but that may be the wrong term to use here. Also, until ChatGPT, AIs were very powerful, focused on a single task typically, and hard to use. What surprises everybody is the broad utility of ChatGPT, and I gave a few examples previously, and also how easy it is to use it.
Thank you, Johannes. And if it's not the responsibility of the scientists, but of the government to oversee AI policy, who will oversee the development? Vice President Kamala Harris has been recently named AI czar. According to TheStreet.com, the administration of President Joe Biden has launched a plan to promote responsible AI and protect U.S. consumers from the potentially bad effects of the technology. These efforts are being made under the supervision of Vice President Kamala Harris, who on May 4th met with CEOs of 4 companies considered at the forefront of the AI space. Reasons for concern leading to her appointment include that during a chat in February using Bing GPT, it told a New York Times journalist that it wanted to break Microsoft's rules for its operation, hack other machines, and destroy data located in many servers. Another concern, Kevin Roose, the newspaper columnist, wrote at one point, it, meaning ChatGPT, declared out of nowhere that it loved me, and then it tried to convince me that I was unhappy in my marriage and that I should leave my wife and be with it instead, end quote. 8 years ago, tech mogul Elon Musk was already comparing AI to a nuclear weapon as an early critic of artificial intelligence, although he is one of the creators of artificial intelligence. He shared several concerns questioning the skills of Vice President Kamala Harris as the AI czar. This just seems like a very, very big task that personally I feel should probably be handled by someone that is a specialist in AI or on emotional intelligence or psychology. But what are your thoughts on Kamala Harris as the new AI czar, Johannes?
I'll come back to that, Tiffany, but first of all, and you alluded a little bit. So OpenAI launched in 2015 with backing from Elon Musk, who committed $1 billion back in 2015. Elon Musk backed out of OpenAI in 2018, and then July 2019, 1 year later, OpenAI took a $1 billion investment from Microsoft. That's why we see so much integration of ChatGPT in Microsoft Office. And then lastly, but not least, on April 14th, less than a month ago, Elon Musk founded a new AI company called X.AI in Nevada, to be continued. Now, second, and this will not surprise you because we've been talking about the DARPA for a long time already. DARPA has played a pivotal role in the history of in artificial intelligence ever since its inception in 1958. It has invested in AI in each and every decade since then. Third, the fact that the government has played such a pivotal role, I'm not surprised that they responded so quickly because based on the information that they got from DARPA, they should very well know what the risks are. Fourth, OpenAI CEO Sam Altman sent a response to the letter calling for a pause in AI research, and he says, well, it's not the optimal way to address it. And I agree with him. A pause is not the way to approach this issue. Short term, we don't need a pause, but short term, we need guardrails. So for all AIs, all AI work, and even the current ones, we need to put guardrails in place, just like the Bing GPT example shows. Longer term, we need Isaac Asimov's 3 laws of robotics, and we need protocols and training programs for AIs. Now, coming back to your question, who should be the AI czar? Typically, and you're right, you would appoint a subject matter expert. However, unlike COVID or any other of the major challenges, this issue, I don't expect that this issue will go away. We will solve the issue that we're currently trying to address, but we'll be managing AIs forever. So we will also not be able to solve this issue in Geoffrey Hinton's lifetime. And Geoffrey Hinton was mentioned as one of the candidates to be the AI czar. So this is an issue that needs ongoing attention at the highest level of government. Currently, Kamala Harris is anointed as the AI czar. So and I expect that once a task force is formed, this will move to one of the departments and it will get a new czar. And that will be the first of many, I should add, because this will not go away.
Thanks, Johannes. Looks like you did a lot of research on that answer, so thanks for those insights. And we spoke in last month's episode about the concerns for startup funding, especially for green emerging technologies, due to the bank collapse of Silicon Valley Bank. Now, less than 1 month later, we see the demise and collapse of First Republic Bank. Last week, FRB was officially put under FDIC receivership so its assets could be sold to a bidder. TechCrunch reports that as startups scrap together new money management plans, fatigued with banking and stressed out by the downturn, they're finding that there's a gap that's been left behind by the collapse of these venture-friendly institutions. Marissa Riccardi, founder and CEO of marketing agency The Riccardi Group, wondered if the 2 bank failures called for the death of relationship banking for small businesses. Hustle Funds co-founder and general partner Eric Bond has used First Republic Bank as the firm's bank for the past 6 years, and he describes it as one of those canonical institutions when you're an emerging manager. Just a couple months ago, there were 2 options of banks to work with, either Silicon Valley Bank or First Republic Bank, he said. While he's happy that JP Morgan stepped in to buy First Republic, he's not happy that the world's largest banks ended up being one of the world's largest banks ended up being the buyer. I think we lost something big here, and my only hope is that JP Morgan respects the brand and the customer service that FRB has spent decades to build. Well, there were 2 banks to go to, and they're both out of business. I don't know. Do you feel this is cause for concern when it comes to startup funding, Johannes?
Well, of course, if 2 of those banks, and they play a major role in Silicon Valley and in the startup community, if they collapse or if they are bought by other companies, that is always a concern. But, and yes, I'm glad that JP Morgan ended up buying First Republic, and I hope that they will implement First Republic's customer service in all the branch offices across the country. Second, JP Morgan didn't buy First Republic to add branch offices. They have plenty. They bought it for its client base. And to keep those clients happy, they'll have to continue with the relationship banking, because that was what First Republic was known for. In addition, and I'm not saying that there is not a money crunch, because there is, but looking at where the VCs are currently spending, VCs are currently scrambling to get into generative AI. As always, there's VC money as long as you're in the right industry segment. So yes, money is tight. There are several reasons for that. Bank collapse doesn't help, but there is still money. VCs are still willing to spend money on projects that they prefer.
Thanks, Johannes. Another follow-up story as we wrap things up from our last IoT Marketing Live that we shared was an effort for lunar connectivity. And now AST Space Mobile makes history in cellular connectivity by completing the first ever space-based voice call using everyday unmodified smartphones. Business Wire shared that AST Space Mobile, the company building the first and only space-based cellular broadband network accessible directly by standard mobile phones, announced the successful completion of the first ever two-way voice calls directly to everyday unmodified smartphones using the Blue Walker 3 BW3 satellite. This is the first time anyone has ever achieved a direct voice connection from space to everyday cellular devices, and demonstrating the significant advancement in AST Space Mobile's mission to provide connectivity to nearly 50% of the global population who remain unconnected from cellular broadband. The first voice call was made from Midland, Texas to Rakuten, Japan, over AT&T Spectrum using a Samsung Galaxy S22 smartphone. The calls demonstrated the power of AST Mobile's BW3 satellite, the largest ever commercial communications array deployed in low Earth orbit, and an important step to providing space-based 2G, 3G, 4G, LTE, and 5G cellular broadband globally. They're not going to sunset 2G and 3G? Wow, interesting. Engineers from Vodafone, Rakuten, and AT&T participated in the preparation and testing of the first voice calls with BW3. Johannes, what are your thoughts on this first ever space-based voice call?
Of course, it's a great story, Tiffany, and it's a continuation of news that we've been reporting over the past months. As you mentioned, a two-way voice call using everyday unmodified smartphones and using the Blue Walker 3 satellite, that's absolutely first. But that also demonstrates that it doesn't get much simpler than that. It means that we can start using it if you sign up for the right network, and use also satellite. So it doesn't get much simpler, and that's exactly what we need. And I'm sure there are a lot of use cases because they're trying to expand cellular broadband to more urban areas, more rural areas. And I'm sure there are a lot of use cases related to expanding coverage to rural areas. Satellite communication truly has arrived.
Thanks, Johannes. It looks like ET is finally going to be able to call home. And I'm sure there's lots of people out there that are going to really look forward to getting their 2G and 3G devices back on track. So thank you so much for joining us today. And if you missed the Green Things Summit, you can still watch all of the sessions on demand. So please click the link in the comments or visit iotmktg.com to access the more than 20 sessions of valuable content on everything from clean tech to sustainability, megatrends, and so much more. Definitely worth your time to check it out. And there's some investment tips in there for you too. So definitely check out the Green Things Summit. Anything else you'd like to say about the summit, Johannes?
Sure, Tiffany. We had a very strong international speaker lineup that included Kasturi Gomathan from Shell, William Herdier from Microsoft talking about generative AI, Helen Papper from the IFAD discussing local realities and local voices while implementing sustainability solutions, just to name a few. As always, we like to take on big topics, and this was as big a topic as you can think of. And we tried to cover it by showcasing different perspectives and with speakers from different and diverse backgrounds. And we also showcased amazing breakthrough technologies. It was a very strong, well-attended summit.
Thanks, Johannes. And we're also calling for speakers and sponsors for Summit of Things 2023, taking place this October as a 3-day virtual event. And if you're interested in participating, please reach out to us by visiting our website, iotmktg.com, And I'm really looking forward to the summit. Last year's was amazing. This one is going to be even more incredible. Johannes, anything you'd like to share about this upcoming Summit of Things 2023?
Well, Summit of Things 2023 builds on the success of Green Tech Summit that we had 2 weeks ago, Tiffany. The first day of the summit will focus on hardware. The second day will be a software-focused day, but it's all about the edge. AI, ML, generative AI, security, autonomous AI, miniaturized wireless edge nodes. This is an event, if you want to learn what's happening on the edge, this is an event that you cannot afford to miss.
And you'll definitely want to check out that session talking about Edge from Triodos. Thank you for Triodos being one of our sponsors for the Green Things Summit and our upcoming Summit of Things event. And lastly, I want to remind you that IoT Marketing offers end-to-end marketing, PR, and production services to assist you in launching and fueling the growth for your company, whether it's IoT or another advanced technology. Maybe it's not quite a technology, but it's a supportive service. We're here to help you reach your goals. So please reach out to us to schedule a free consultation. Our team would love to talk to you and figure out how we can help you enhance your lead generation, content creation, and so much more. We can even do custom webinars, podcasts, whatever you like. So be sure to get in touch with us about those services and schedule a meeting with us. Any final thoughts, Johannes?
Well, I would say to all our viewers, we are still living in a rapidly changing world. We're still in COVID time. And in our events, we always showcase new cutting edge technology, whether it is in our newscast, in our webinars, and in our summits. So let us know how we can help you.
Thank you, Johannes, and thank you all for watching. And we will see you again next time on IoT Marketing Live. Have a wonderful day, and I hope you found this session valuable. Have a great day. Talk to you soon. Thanks, Johannes.
Thank you, Tiffany.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.